Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. A little bit more Transformers Titans Return coverage here. This is the Voyager class Sentinel Prime with his Titan Master partner Infinitus. And you might be saying, I'm gonna skip him over, I'm gonna wait for the intended use of the mold. And you know what? Maybe you don't really know the history of him too well. Maybe you do. I'm not sure. Obviously, you're the one watching this. But don't sell yourself short. Don't sell him short, because he's probably a little bit more significant and a little bit cooler than you thought. Stick around. I'll explain what I mean in the latest GotBot True Review. Okay folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. And as always, please check me out everywhere, check out my work, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this is Sentinel Prime, and I know, people have looked at him and he's been a little bit of a point of controversy because, you know, whatever. But I just said, don't sell him short, don't sell yourself short. Let's just give a little bit of a history lesson here, a little GotBot history lesson, if you will. And I'll keep this brief. We already know that this guy's established in the film franchise, looks totally different. He had a fairly major part, I believe, in Transformers Animated. Looked totally different. This is supposed to be a G1 version, and of course we've seen him in the comics, and one thing always stands true for Sentinel. He's overly confident. He believes things were better, you know, the way they were years ago, and he's not the nicest Autobot. But he was in the cartoon. He was in the original animation, if you can believe it. Did not look like this. In terms of paint apps matching the original animation, this is an epic fail of like 1. Actually, you know what? It'd be a 0. It doesn't match the original animation at all. He was mostly blue with a little bit of orange. But since he's not a character that has a really classic, well-established look, I dig the fact that they used a different color, something bold, something bright, and I'm going to give his paint apps, honestly, a 10. He looks like a Prime. I dig it. But for animation accuracy, if you're somebody who knows this history and knows what I'm talking about, he doesn't look like it. But here's why he's important, for a few reasons. He was a slave around 12 million years ago. He actually took part in the Gladiator games, the same training grounds that Megatron went through. He did get beaten, and you know, there was a war, of course, that occurred. The Decepticons rose up and started fighting with the Autobots. It was under his leadership when Autobots learned the art of transformation. So it was under his leadership that they learned that they could change their form. Significant time to be a leader for sure. He defeated the Decepticon leader at the time, and we entered the golden age of Cybertron under Sentinel Prime. This is probably why he's as confident as he is, because he brought the first golden age about 9 million years ago. He ended up being, you know, killed by Megatron, and he, gave the Matrix to Alpha Trion to hold on to until a new leader emerged, and of course that was Optimus. He originally turned into a Cybertronian truck thing, again, mostly blue. So he does have a role. I think you're probably going to see the most from him in the 5 Faces of Darkness story, if I'm not mistaken. And I could be mistaken, and I think he is one of the previous Matrix holders that Rodimus talks to when he travels back to get wisdom from inside. So he has appeared. Probably not well known in terms of his look, but he has certainly appeared and does have a significant role in the history of the Autobots. Plus, we haven't gotten a lot, outside of Optimus Prime and Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime, we really haven't gotten a lot of official representations of primes. I'd love to see a Nova Prime down the line. I'd love to see a Solus Prime down the line. I think support of this guy would help bring more primes, especially now where we're in this Prime Wars trilogy thing. So, going on, we're going to look at his articulation next. Honestly, his articulation is pretty fantastic. I've heard that the San Diego Comic-Con one with the translucent plastic is really loose, and I don't like a lot of translucent plastic usually. I prefer the darker, deeper orange that's used here, to be honest with you. The head can go left and right and all the way around, but there is a caveat here. In order for that to happen, you need to have his shoulder pauldrons down. If you press this button on his stomach, they come up. They do limit his head articulation. The whole thing does move, so he still has some. Right, it moves to the left that much, it moves to the right. Sure it does. There you go, that much. So you still get some, it's just tighter and there's not as much of it. I prefer to leave these down, to be honest with you. But, you know, to each their own, right? The shoulders, you know, they can go, well, if you get the wing out of the way, they can go all the way around. And you can have the wings however you want. You can have them way out. You can have them all the way back. You can kind of do what you like with them. I kind of like leaving them out, to be honest with you, a little bit, just to give them sort of a regal cape type of look. There's a nice, little bit more than 90-degree elbow bend. A bicep swivel that's nice and tight. The hands go in like this. When you bring them back, they do actually tab in. They're intended to tab in. You don't have to tab them in. There's no waist articulation, but that's understandable because of transformation. Putting his arms out to the side, and I just brought those pauldron things up. That'll happen. We can go out on a ratchet, and it holds quite tightly. Both of them do. Back, I guess about there, because the wing sort of gets in the way then. But if the wing wasn't there, we could go back even further. I just untabbed his waist, but ratchets out to the side, and they're great. You bring these down. I'm going to mention his thigh swivel. I'm going to mention his 90-degree knee. His feet. Now, a lot of people do this incorrectly, to be honest with you. His feet are supposed to be the train pieces out front for this guy. But a lot of people still turn it around and have the pointy toe boot out front as his foot. You can, again, you can do either. He probably stands a little bit better with the pointy toe boot thing out, but just to differentiate him a little bit from the other use of this mold, that of course being Astro Train, I like to leave the train sections out as his shoes. And I think they look pretty cool, to be honest with you. Something that I have not seen anybody talk about that I'm going to talk about is where his two hip pieces come together here in the center. You see this, and you might say, oh, does that not tab in well? Actually, no, it tabs in really well. It's quite tight. It's just that the ratchets on mine, on the legs, are also extremely tight, but this one, not so much. I can not hold on to that and go like this, and this piece stays together fine. This one over here, tighter. But still, it stays together. I think a lot of people were concerned about that because of, going back a little bit, how Bone Crusher's hips worked in the Combiner Wars Devastator pack, and how that didn't really work out very well at all. So, his paint apps, we can't really, I guess if you wanted them in blue, you could say that that would be more accurate. I'm cool with him in these colors. I'm giving him a 10 because I like the look. He's different. He has a Prime feel to him, but looks totally different. I'm giving his paint apps a 10, even though they should be a 0 because he does not look like his original animation. His posability, playability, he's great like this. He's a great shuttle. He's actually a pretty decent train. I'm going to give that an 8.5. I'm going to give it an 8.5 because the train is definitely his weakest mode. So right now, this guy he's scoring well. Let's say he's an 8. Let's say he's an 8. If you got real problem with the paint, this guy's probably scoring at about a 2. It's hard to say, but for me personally, he's about an 8 right now. He's pretty great. Let's go into his, I guess before his transformation. I have his guns stored back here because they can. They can store a bunch of places actually. But I have them stored right there. If I can get this one out and get this one out, I'll just tab that back in. You could also put them in the holes up right here on his wing pieces. There are holes up here, you can put them in there. There are holes way up here, there are holes down here. Holes way up here, hole down here. There's so many places that you can actually store this. It's pretty great. Can he hold them well? Yeah, actually he holds them fantastic. There's, you know, oops, my mistake. There's one and it is solid. Here is the other and it too is very solid. I feel like this one looks a little not as good as this one, but that's because the other one is intended for this guy. This is his Type Master Infinitus, who is really tight. He is extremely tight. I don't feel like I'm going to break or anything though, but he's really tight. And of course, I'll take this guy out of it for now. There you go. It's a very Prime-esque looking head sculpt. I think it looks really good. I really like it. And of course, he just opens up. He is not pinned at the hips. This is how he looks. Again, that looks very much like Prime. There's even a bit of red on the face mask there. You might not be able to see it, but it is there. Same articulation as all these guys, where he can sit and the arms are on little ball joints. Again, it's a 2 or 3. I mean, you know, it is what it is for these guys. If you want, if you are so inclined, you could put his arms out. And I'm going to just bring this in here now in just a second. You can put his arms out and you can put him in, you know, the blaster like this. You could even take the other blaster and put it down here so he's like manning a blaster. And again, because this has a post down here, you could find a 5mm, you know, slot on Metroplex or Fortress Maximus or Power Master Optimus Prime or Blaster and put them in as an extra weapon turret. No problem to do that, and it would work quite well, to be honest with you. Now, let's get into the rest of the transformation for Sentinel himself. This is the way, of course, he comes in package, well, you know, with his head attached. And we're going to put him in shuttle mode first, and then we're going to put him in his train mode from there. Shuttle mode, well, you bring the arms down straight to the side. All you need to do is take the wing pieces and bring them down. There's a tab here that goes into a slot right here on the back of the arm. So you just bring it down until it slots into that section on the arm. Same here. Bring it down all the way. Slot it in the arm. Bring it down all the way and slot it in the arm. That's the back done. Now, you take his feet here and you open up his shins and open up his shins. You flip them so that the train pieces are back in, and you put the shin down, and you turn these toward each other. And when you turn them toward each other, there's a whole bunch, you see little teeth here and little teeth here, and there's holes, and there's a whole bunch of places where these two pieces tab together. And I've seen some people struggle with it, but mine goes together really easily, to be honest with you. Next, you flip up and flip up those pieces, and you just push them down to be tabbed in. And you come to the bottom and you flip up and they tab in. And boom, there's a shuttle mode. And I think it works. Some people have complained about this, but I think that's a pretty I think it's a pretty great looking shuttle. I think that it's, you know, considering that it's probably more Cybertron-ish. Considering that it's probably a little bit more Cybertron-ish, I think it works. I think it works really well, to be honest with you. Really well. So we're going to go now into, we're going to take it from here, and we're going to take a second and we're going to go into his train mode. But before we do that, weapon storage. Well, you can put them on the sides here. You could take this one in particular and put on the side, and you know, you could stick that in there. You could stick the Titan Master down here and he's sitting along the side. Again, you can store them under the wings. Some people have stored them back here. A lot of people seem to be storing them right there, and taking this one and storing it over right here. And I think that that is probably the best way to do it. In terms of where to put Infinitus, well, you open this up and Infinitus can go in here. You just take them, have them seated in a seated position, you put them in there and you bring this down and boom, there he is. And I'll take him back out. Now, I said that the weak mode of this is the train, for sure. And you might have noticed a couple of things here already. Possibly. I have some yellow done here, I have some silver done here, I have some silver done on the inside of this. I'm going to show you now, and I've done this just because I wanted it to be broken up a little bit. I'm going to show you now how I think it helps make him look a little bit more like a train when he's in that mode. And I think it helps save that mode just a little bit. So stick around, we're going to go into that now in just a second. But in terms of this mode, it's pretty great and super easy to get into. Actually, before we go into train mode, I want to, I guess, just point something out that I didn't. You can also bring down that and open up a little section here in his chest and open up this little section in his chest, and that gives him landing gear for his shuttle mode, which is also pretty darn cool. I guess I'll do this now too, because I always forget these things. Here is Sentinel's collector card. Well, I guess I should show the art first. There's the art. You know, again, it looks good. He looks great. But it's nothing special, I guess. On the back here are the stats. You can see he's 10s across the board. Becomes 12 and 13 when he has Infinitus connected to him. Just as a prime should be. Honestly, just as a prime should be. By the way, Infinitus slows down time so that Sentinel can perform precision attacks, apparently. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on. We put up the landing gear, we put that in, and we actually, I guess we flip this down next, flip this down next, flip this down, and flip this down. We do all of that, and then we unpeg the arms from the wings, which is kind of tight, I gotta say. Easiest way is probably to just bend the wing back, hold onto the arm and bend the wing back. And he's kind of halfway back in robot mode. So what do we do next? Well, you take the arms and you put them out straight. And if you didn't do it already for shuttle mode, you flip the hands in. Just like that. You take the shuttle legs and you unpeg them from each other, and you unpeg the waist and you bring it way up on the side, and you bring it way up on the side. And when you bring it up, the space underneath his forearm here will go down over this yellow section here to lock it in place. And same here. The space under the forearm goes down over the yellow section and locks it in place. He doesn't really look like much of a train yet, but he will. Next, you unpeg the entire backpack. You bring it up around. I guess swivel it, there you go, this way. And you bring these wing pieces down on the side. And when you do, there's a tab right here. Now, we use this one in shuttle mode to tab into his arm. Now this tab right here goes to a slot up on his chest. And this tab right here goes to a slot on his back. And it just goes in like that. I guess these you leave up, or you can put them down, whatever you're inclined to do. I'm gonna say leave them up. You open up his shin and you flip in the piece that was a shuttle, and you bring out the train engine, and I guess it's your choice on the other end. You can do it or not do it. You're supposed to do it, so we will. And you bring that out and down. I guess I'll talk about the paint apps shortly. I'll talk about the paint apps shortly. Next, those pieces that were flipped up for the shuttle, you now flip them up here. Oh, you're gonna have to get the wing out of the way. You now flip them up here, all the way in like that. And you take this piece right here and you flip it down. And over on the other side, you do the same thing. You flip this, again, getting the wing out of the way. I guess I was premature in tabbing them in. You bring that up around and you flip this piece down. And if you haven't kind of secured his foot in here, do it now and just tab that down for the engine. Next, open this piece up, and same over here, open this piece up. And flip down for the other train wheels, flip down for the other train wheels, and again, if you haven't, locked this side in, I guess do it now. Well, this side, for some reason, there you go, didn't want to go locked in for me. And now put the wing pieces down. Just like that. And boom, there you go, you have him in his train mode. He's a significantly long train, to be honest with you. He really is a significantly long train. And he rolls okay. He rolls all right. But he was sorely missing paint apps. So I added yellow here. I think some of that's windows. I think some of it is actually railing that I probably shouldn't have painted yellow. But I thought it all kind of looked like windows, and a passenger train should have windows. So I painted those. I painted these up here. And I painted the very front and the light yellow. I'll see if I can get in closer to show that. There's the yellow on the front and the side. There's the yellow going down the sides. I also, the back wheels were already silver. The front ones were left red. I painted them silver. So all of his train wheels, tires now are indeed silver. What can I say? I like it. I think it looks, phenomenally better than it did. Is it still the best train? No, it's definitely his weakest mode. Now, in terms of like weapon storage and all of that stuff here, again, you could take this one and store it up here. Oh, sorry. You could take this one and store it up top here, or you could store it this way. This one here is a little trickier because it has stuff out on the side, so you can't really store it up top there. Here's my best suggestion for storage for this. I think, especially since we got these ugly wings up here. It's all bad enough that these ones are coming down the center, but at least now with the windows painted, maybe that sort of masks it a little bit. I think that your best bet is to take this and stick it on the side and either angle it up or angle it back a little bit take this one, stick it on the side, and maybe angle it back a little bit, and they both stay quite well. Maybe it's like, you know, train smokestack type of things. You know, if you squint, use your imagination and try real hard. It's, you know, it is what it is. Again, this section up here opens up, and we can take Infinitus and put him down there and close it up. If you really wanted Infinitus on the side, I mean, you could put him over here and you could store this on the side like that. If you think that looks better, hey, go for it. You know, you certainly have a lot of options with it. Same with this one. I mean, you could have both of them just stuck it on the side going forward, or I guess like going back. You know, it's really up to you. But personally, I think that the best option, at least for me, is to have these in on the side like that and have them come up. Maybe this one could go in like this. There you go. That's even. And have them come up sort of like, you know, train smokestack type of things. Is it perfect? No. And I mean, if the train is going, I guess if the train is going this way, you could have them angled a little bit like that. If the train is going the other way, you can angle them back a little bit like that. You know, it's not perfect, but it is, like I said, I think the lesser of the evils. I like them. I really do. The transformation is easy in all modes. Nothing is difficult to tab in. Nothing is really fiddly or finicky. You just have to remember to do everything. His transformation's a 10. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. Now that I got him in hand, I can't wait for Astro Train. Overall, I think that this guy, for as much flack as he's gotten, because he's another official Prime, and it's nice to have some more of that original 13, I think this guy is easily a strong 8.5. A strong 8.5 for sure. He's pretty great, and if you've overlooked him, you might want to reconsider just because he's just plain fun and pretty cool. And like I said, it's nice to have another official Prime in the line. That's it. That does it for this guy. And I'm pleasantly surprised. I am very pleasantly surprised. Thanks for dropping by. As always, thanks for giving me a bit of your time. And as always, I look forward to the next time that we get together for another visit right here inside the videos.